runners only. Yeah, let's get it started. This is runners only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady. Anyway you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. This is runners only. Yeah, let's get it started. This is runners only with Dom Harvey. Fast paced, slow and steady. Anyway you coming. Just wanna connect for everyone who loves running. Hey, runners only with Dom Harvey.
Runners only with Dom Harvey and one of the baddest men on the New Zealand track at the moment, Samuel Tanner. Morning, mate.
How you doing, Dom?
Get in nice and close to that microphone. Sam was just asking me who made the theme song. It's this American kid on an app called Fiverr.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good. It slaps, hey? It's a great tune.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't believe it. What a kid.
Hey, really nice to be in your house today. Get in nice and close to that microphone.
There we go. How about that? Is that
Just
better?
like that. So I arrived at your house in Papamoa. What's the nickname for it? What, not Leisureland? What's the
Tannerland.
Tannerland.
We call it Tannerland.
Oh my God! It is. It's the craziest place. You've got a skate bowl here, 3 trampolines. How many? 3 caravans?
Yeah. My brother's building one too. Yeah, he's doing one up, old school one.
And I don't know how many surfboards.
Yeah, I don't know either. heaps.
Right. So you and your dad and your brother just build everything.
Yeah. Dad's been the inspiration for that, but yeah, he's pretty clever. So he's been teaching us a fair bit over the years.
So you're because of what you do with running, you're not nervous to do other things? As in, I'm thinking in particular the skateboarding and the trampolining.
Yeah, I spend a lot less time than I used to on the skateboard and the tramps. But no, I value getting a good time and rather than just being consumed.
Balance.
Yeah, a good balance I think is pretty key to being a good runner.
So your coach, like Craig Kirkwood, he's never been like, oh, I'd rather you didn't do skateboarding, or
no, he's pretty good. He actually encourages me to do a lot of it. Like he's like, yeah, make sure you get your cross training in, and we used to joke about actually prescribing surfing into my training, into the actual training schedule. I'm like, oh sweet, I got to go for a surf today. Like it's a must. I'm like, sweet, got to do it.
So okay, so let's talk about you. So you're how old are you now? 21. 21, fastest man in New Zealand over 1,500 metres.
Correct. Yeah.
You ran a sub 4-minute mile when you're still a teenager.
Yeah. First, I think I was the first teenager in New Zealand history to run sub 4 in the mile. Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
So how old were you when you started running?
I grew up running kids athletics when I was like 5.
Right.
And did that for fun. Never trained or anything. But then probably started training with Craig when I was 17. And that's kind of the short of it. A little more extended is I did cross countries throughout school. Got good. Got won a national title, and then got some creepy old dudes jumping into my inbox and on Facebook Messenger asking me if I want to come to the other side of the world and come visit them, and I'm like, what? But got a scholarship.
Like American scholarships and things.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
I was
You're making it sound way more sinister than
I know.
Okay, so you're just so you're a kid and you're running and you're just naturally good, naturally fast. Is that pretty much the long and short?
Yeah. Thanks, Mum. Yeah.
Why? Thanks, Mum.
Yeah. Mum was fast.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, Mum was pretty quick. And then Dad was probably pretty determined and did some longer triathlons and stuff just for fun. But yeah, that's probably where I get it from.
So it's just sort of in the genes.
Yeah, I'd like to say so.
Yeah, but I feel like seeing the setup you've got here and the sort of lifestyle you're living, with the skateboarding and the trampoline and the surfing, I feel like you would have been good at probably any sport you sort of put your mind to.
Yeah, I was a pretty determined kid. Like, Dad would always say like, oh, he'd like put himself, make himself suffer and like. How did he say something extreme? Like he'd kill himself before he came second. And I'm like, oh yeah, probably true. Especially when I was younger. Like I was like, I think back, I'm like, man, I put myself in the box. Kind of a wuss now.
But do you like that though? Do you like making yourself hurt?
Yeah. It's a bit addicting. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like because I had your one of your training partners, Hayden Wild, the triathlete, on the podcast earlier this year, and he was talking about how hard like you guys push each other at training, and he said how you've managed to pull yourself back and do what your coach tells you to. So if your coach tells you it's an easy run, you go easy.
Yeah.
But do you guys just love duking it out and going a hundy.
Yeah, we often don't like try to beat each other, but we definitely push each other. Like there'll be mornings where we're just like one of us is feeling good and the other one's like kind of suffering. Especially this is often how it goes in longer reps because I'll be feeling good at the start and feeling fast, and so I'll push Hayden when it's speed. And then at the end of the session, he'll be like coming through with strength, and I'll be like hanging on for dear life. And then we'll both end up on our back, on the grass at the end. We do a 7 a.m. session on the road, and so we'll just be cooked on the grass afterwards. And Craig's just like there taking a photo of us laughing at us. And I'm like, you dick.
Yeah. So what makes Craig Kirkwood such a good coach?
Oh, he's just the best.
Is he?
He's just the best. I don't know. He's got some magic fingers, magic mind. But no, he really, really cares for us. And so pays a lot of attention to our like life as well as just training. So not just training. So he's pretty good at prescribing stuff based off how we feel. And then I think he's just had a really vast experience, just with triathlon, with ultra stuff, with track. He went to let me screw this up. Oklahoma University. Yeah, not University of Oklahoma. Oklahoma University. They're rivals, you see. So he'd be insulted. And so he pulling from all of those different areas. He's just got and then post collegiately too. Like he's just been around some of the best coaches, best agents, especially in track and field. It's just good.
Because I've had another guy on the podcast called Arch Jelly, who was the lifelong coach of John Walker, who did the same distance as you.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your relationship? I mean, it's probably hard to tell from where you're sitting now and the age you're at now. But do you from where you're sitting here and now? Can you see him being your lifelong coach?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
totally.
You'll never get to the point where he comes to you and says, "Listen, I'm sorry, Sam. I've done everything I can. You need someone else now."
Yeah, no, I think that kind of like Ron is with Nick Willis. I think that Craig will be for me. Like we're going to probably get to the point where he knows, he's going to be my coach, hopefully forever, unless I do something stupid and he starts to hate me. But I don't see why that would happen. And maybe I fall off skating or something. I think the whole world would hate me then. But anyway, no.
That's what I was getting at before. Like there's I don't know. I don't feel like you seem to necessarily feel it, or maybe you've just got this ability to block it out. But there'd be a lot of people, like high performance sport people, that are seriously fucked off if you break a collarbone.
Yeah, I think so. I'm like, you know what? If I fall off, like, get over it. I'm like, I'm not having to deal with it. I love running. I'm addicted to it. So it's it's definitely whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. So what is your addiction with running? Is it just because you're good at it that you enjoy it so much, or what?
Partly, man. Yeah. I can go for a long run, and if you get rolling, I'm just like, sometimes Melissa, my wife, comes for a bike with me while I long run, and I'm like, oh man, I love this sport. Like I'm just flying. Sometimes we pass bikers who are like, oh, I feel a bit bad. These bikers biking into a headwind, and I'm like, see ya.
Because what would be like an average week for you? An average week of training? What does it look like? In
terms of Ks, probably between 100 and 120. Maybe if I'm racing, maybe a little less, but that's probably where I'm at the moment. There's probably some more room for growth. I don't know what naughty tricks Craig's got up his sleeve for next year, but this is the first time over the last 2 weeks that he's pulled out the old double workout, and I'm like, oh, you're psycho. Who does a double workout?
What do you mean? Like, so 2 workouts in a day?
Yeah.
So one in the morning, one in the afternoon?
Yeah.
And what does each session look like?
Oh, well, the last 2 weeks we've done without giving away too many of Craig's secrets, we've done a strength workout in the morning, and so that'll be like a tempo, 4 or 6K, like not like a light tempo either, like it's pretty fast, like 3-minute Ks or below, and then in the evening we got like some brutal speed stuff that I'm like, man, Craig, this session would be hard without the speed stuff without the strength in the morning. And I'm like, oh my goodness, so whatever. It's been really good though for strength, and hopefully it prepares me well for Worlds.
Yeah, so when are the Worlds? Are they pre-Commonwealth Games or post-Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, pre-Com Games go 16th, 17th and 19th of July.
Okay, so we're recording this in late June. So you got the Worlds, and then the Commonwealth. What's more important, or are they both equally important?
Well, I think it depends who you are. For me, I think like Worlds is a bigger deal, but Com Games is a bigger deal in New Zealand's eyes. I think.
Why are the Worlds a bigger deal? Oh, just because it's the Worlds,
right?
Okay.
Like you've got, especially in distance running, like you're going to get probably more media if you win World Championships. In terms of like US media and growth, like public figure growth, I guess, than if you win Com Games. But in New Zealand, you're going to get probably on the news if you win Com Games.
100%.
Which is maybe, hopefully.
So, so what is the expectation going to these events? Like you're probably at like peak fitness now. Like have you discussed it with your Craig coach, or have you got a feeling about how you're going to go?
I'd like to I've had a good season so far. I went to the US for 5 weeks, April, May, and so that was fun. But I beat quite a few good guys, really, really high quality, world class athletes, and so it's going to be exciting to race, them as well as other guys who I haven't raced yet on that world stage. And so I want to make the final. Like I didn't necessarily meet my expectations in Tokyo last year, or maybe not my expectations, I didn't really have any, but more so my ability, reach my potential, I want to say. And so that'd be nice to make the final, and, if never know with the 1500. You could come away with a medal. Like if you run the same race 10 different times, I could medal once and not even make the final, 9 other times, which is like the craziest part.
Yeah, there's so much I want to ask you about this. First of all, I guess like what's the difference for you between a good race and a bad race in terms of like what's like a dream time scenario and what is totally shitting the bed?
In terms of time?
Yeah.
All right. Well, a dream like this year. So John Walker's New Zealand mile record is 3:49, and I want to break that. Whether it's this year, Craig reckons I can do it this year, and so if I get in the right situation on the right race, it'd have to be a mile, obviously, but 3:49 would be, or 3:48, because I'm pretty sure it's 3:49, like so 3:48 would be like crazy, and I'd be like just ecstatic with that. I'd just be like, whoa, that was crazy. But in terms of 1500, I would like to run low 3:30s, and crap in the bed would be like, I don't know, if I ran 3:50 for some reason.
Oh, embarrassing.
But yeah, I mean, it could be tactical. Still, yeah, that is true. You're still like rolling.
It's still flying.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. So if you do a mile, that's like 4 laps of the track.
Yeah.
If you and me start at the same time, even though it's only 4 laps, you would literally lap me.
Well, how long have you run a mile in?
I haven't, but I reckon I did some 1K repeats last week in like 3:20.
Oh no, I would.
Oh no, I reckon you'd get me. You'd let me.
I might, but I'd be at it only just. Oh, I don't know, because you'd run 5 minutes. Would you run 5 minutes? What is that? It's a for the mile. So the 4 laps, 5 minutes, roughly 75.
Yeah, 5 minutes, maybe just over 5 minutes.
75s. Yeah, probably like that.
How humiliating is that?
Oh no, sorry.
Oh, that is terrible. That's why I've been asked to go on some like 5K events, which is like 12 and a half laps, or 10K events on the track. Not with like good guys like you, but just like
good guys.
Good guys, but not. But the fear of being lapped is just too great.
Oh yeah, that's why I don't do any 5Ks. Yeah, I'm like, I could jump in a world class 5K and get lapped twice, like. Especially because my 5K PB is nowhere near as crazy as they're running like 12:50 something.
Yeah, what would you do for 5,000? Like you'd definitely be sub 14.
Oh, I mean, technically my PB is only like 14:10.
Right.
But I did that early October, and I was I was pacing my mate Russell, and so that was fun. But I think Craig thinks I can be like a 13:20 guy. Probably.
God, there's not a park run in the world on a Saturday morning that you wouldn't win.
No, yeah, probably not.
Will you do you ever like so talking about the 1,500 meters like at the Commonwealth Games and the World Games, like how much like goes into it on the day? Like if you're there and you're at peak fitness and you know you can run a good time, is there sort of like a certainty that you'll podium, or is there still a lot of luck that goes into it in the strategy of the race?
Oh yeah, I think it comes down to a lot of experience. But man, I think as a youngster, you're kind of fluking it sometimes. Like you're like, oh, let's just play my cards like this and see what happens. But so you just get to roll the dice and be like, oh well, nope, didn't make that one. But yeah, so I think you can prep and you can understand, who's in your race, what they are likely to do, and study it as well as you can. That's one thing I've been working on with Craig, especially like becoming more of a student of the sport. And because in the past I'm like, I'm just running. It's like, it's just running. It's
just going to run one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, it's kind of a lame sport when you think about it. Like we just like, especially track running, you're in circles. Like you run for 3 minutes and go nowhere.
Oh yeah, in terms of the spectator sport, I reckon it's the most boring thing yet.
Yeah.
If you have run those distances yourself and you know I feel like it's like golf. I used to hate watching golf.
Yeah,
I started playing golf myself and you realise how difficult it is.
So you can watch golf?
Yeah.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
No. No, but when you've had to go yourself and you realise how difficult it is.
Oh, totally.
You have a new appreciation for what these guys do.
Golf's so hard.
It's the same with like track running. Yes, it's watching people run around a track, but when you've ran that distance yourself, and you know how slow you are in comparison,
sure.
It gives you a new appreciation.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like I was even thinking about that with the old marathon world record. I'm like, man, I couldn't run. Maybe I could run 5K at the same pace as the marathon world record. Like that's ridiculous. Some guy, I'm a professional runner, and some other professional runner is doing what I could do, 4 times.
Yeah, you could hang on to Kipchoge for a while, couldn't you? You could hang on to Kipchoge for 10Ks, maybe longer.
Maybe 10Ks.
Yeah.
10Ks. Maybe I get through 10K. But I wouldn't do much longer than that.
It's crazy.
And
it's crazy what that guy's done.
That's a quarter of what he's doing. He's doing it 4 more times after that.
Yeah. So the 1500 meter race. So it's like 3 3/4 laps. How do you is there a set way to run it?
Yeah. Well,
do you go on with a game plan like, right, don't set the pace, let someone else set the pace?
Yeah, sometimes. I think it's different if you're racing tactically or you're racing like time trial. Like a tactical championship race, I just listen to Craig, yes, coach kind of thing. But he often just says, excuse the language, don't fuck it up. That's what he says. That's just like one thing that he says to me every time, and I'm like, sweet. Like the times that he hasn't said that, I have screwed it up, and I'm like, oh man.
What does he mean? Fuck it up? Like just go out too hard or
everything?
Right. What do you mean?
I'm like, okay, Craig, like cool. But go out too hard. Lead for too long. Like start kicking too early. Just like don't get boxed in. Because you could get boxed in, you could kick too early and get run down. You could lead and fatigue yourself and then get mowed down the last 200. But yeah, pretty much you don't want to be the guy who is being outkicked. You want to be the outkicker, right? And so
that you're talking like the last maybe 200 to 400 meters?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So it depends what the field's doing, how fast the rest of the race is, where your position is. But I think I go into it just with like a bit of an open mindset. And just go, all right, let's just see how this first 100 meters is and see if I get to where I want to be. If I get to where I want to be, sometimes it's easy. The game plan can kind of just roll out and you just defend moves and make moves when you need to get to the right place, position yourself well. Yeah. But really, the whole race is just positioning yourself up until the last 400 meters so that you're in the right spot with 400 meters to go, so that you're either on the shoulder or at the front. And if you can do that, then you've got a good chance of winning. So,
right.
Yeah.
So how much feels easy? Is the first lap easy? Is it the first 200 meters?
Yeah, well, Nick Willis actually says, and I totally agree with him, if you run a 1500 perfectly, it's pain-free. It's effortless. And I'm like, if I think about the times where I've run my fastest times, it's been the most effortless race. And you don't even think about it. You just lap, done. And you're like, whoa, that was quick. I don't know if it would be the same if you're running 4 or 5 or 6 minutes for the 1500. But, it may still, you're obviously running for a little longer, so it might hurt a little more. But yeah, for me, I don't really get the chance to think about it. But usually you don't hurt until, if you get to like 800 and you still feel good, that's probably a good sign.
Right.
And you can kind of afford to hurt the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you're hurting after the first lap, oh boy, it's going to be a long race.
A long day, but yet it's still so short. But you're just in absolute agony for that second half of the run.
Oh, yeah. But it's good.
So the Commonwealth Games, what would a medal mean to you?
Oh, it'd be so cool. I don't know. Like, to be honest, the Commonwealth Games hasn't been really something I dreamed about. I just always wanted to go to the Olympics. But probably because I didn't really watch the Commonwealth Games that much as a kid. Or
did you not? Why not?
I don't know.
I feel like it's a Kiwi thing.
I feel like it is a Kiwi thing. I watched Nick run and a couple of things, but I didn't sit down like I did for the Olympics and watch, or the Rugby World Cup even, and just watch the whole thing.
Right.
It wasn't something I'd have the TV on. We got the lawn bowls today. I wouldn't just
the archery.
I mean, sorry about the lawn bowls. It's actually really fun and hard, really hard. But yeah, I don't know. So I hadn't really thought about it that much, but it would be. The more I've grown up and the further I've developed in running, I'm like, man, a Commonwealth Games medal would be just a dream come true. Because you're just that's a Commonwealth Games medal. Nobody can take that away from you. Somebody said the other day, or I read that records can be broken, but, championship titles, they can't never be taken away.
Yeah, something you have for life.
Yeah, unless you've taken drugs and got caught. But, hopefully that never happens.
So where do you think you're placed? You look at the rest of the people in the field and you know what their times are and you know what your time is. Mm-hmm. All going well on the day. Are you a chance?
Well, yeah, I think so. Maybe not. My PB wouldn't say so right now. There's a lot of guys who are ahead of me who have, more potential than me according to our times. But, some people might have peaked for their trials. Some people, which is kind of now, June, middle of June-ish. And so they might have peaked for their trials just to make their team. Whereas I have the luxury of being able to just not worry about that and just peak purely for Worlds and Comms. And so, they may be in 330 shape now. I'm like, I need to be in 330 shape. And,
What shape would you be in right now?
Oh, I don't know. Probably 334, 333. Right. Probably 334 shape.
Right.
I think once I do a little bit of a tune-up, maybe 335 shape. Tune-up happens and it changes quite a bit. So maybe I'll be down to 330 shape in a couple of weeks.
God, you've got to be so in tune with your body, don't you?
Oh, yeah. It's pretty crazy. You understand at some level you kind of flip a switch and then understand where what 28 feels like and what 30 feels like. And 30s, if you're running 30s in a race, you're running too slow, for 200s. If you're running 30s, you're like, I need to pick it up because I'm way off the pace. Because you need to be running 28s, realistically. If you're running 28s, you're on pace for a fast time.
That is quick. I don't think I could sprint that fast.
14 point for 100?
No, I think I'd be slower than that.
I think you'd be good. You've got the legs.
How would you go against Zoe Hobbs in a Hyundai?
Oh, I was actually talking to Zoe. Oh, that's so embarrassing. I was talking to Zoe the other day after Oceanias, and we're like, we should set up a race just for fun because, no media, nothing, because I don't want the media to be there because I'd definitely get my butt kicked. But I'm like, I'd actually like to race the sprinter girls just because the sprinter boys, that'd just be sad. I'd just get smoked, spat out the back. But I unofficially ran 11 flat the other day.
What did Zoe do the other week? What's her time?
11:09. Yeah,
she's a beast, eh?
Yeah, she's so fast. It's scary. You're like, whoa, my goodness. Whoa.
So she'd take you, but probably not by... Oh, no, she'd smoke you probably. Eh?
Yeah, she'd probably... especially because I haven't done a block start. So out of the blocks, she could put 5 meters on me, she could put 2 meters on me, she could put 10 meters on me. And I'm like, it depends if I come out all gumpy and ooh. But if I get a good block start, then she'd probably beat me by a couple meters. But I don't know. I think she'd smoke me, to be honest.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. All right, now, you mentioned Nick Willis before, so this is the crazy thing. So it feels like in the distance that you do 1,500 metres. So I'm of an age where I was born in the 1970s, so I remember the John Walker era.
Yep.
And then there was a little bit of a gap after the amazing John Walker, and then Nick Willis came along and held that crown for a bloody... Nick Willis has been running...
Yeah, since then till now.
Your entire life.
Yeah.
And now it feels like...
literally my entire life, yeah. 20 years.
He has, it's incredible. Yeah, what's he done? He's done sub 4 minute miles over...
20 years.
Yeah. Every year for 20 years. I read a big article online about this.
I know.
So to be able to get up and do that every year for 20 consecutive years. It's just mind-blowing.
It's crazy. This year will be my 5th year, and I'm like, oh man, Nick, you're just making it hard for me to break that record. I'm like, it's just so many miles. It's tiring me out thinking about it, But yeah, he's incredible, and his just longevity just shows how much of how much he loves running. To be honest, that's really what it shows. Because a lot of the guys, they start to taper, or they start to get a little older, then like get an injury, and they're like, maybe that's me done, and then they just pull the pin. But he's just like, no, I love running. I want to do it as long as I can. Yeah. And I'm like, that's so awesome. And him and Kelly Slater surfing. Like Kelly Slater's 50 now, and just won 30 years apart as first and pipe masters type.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, those sorts of athletes,
That's
you just
goals.
like, wow, you got to take your hat off to them.
Yeah, and there's another one as well, Cameron Brown, the Ironman.
Totally.
He's just turned 50 recently, and he's still
cranking
it, just dominating. So, what's your relationship with Nick Willis like, or what was it like, and what is it? And like, he's obviously accepted now that you're the upstart that's kicking his ass. Was it weird in the beginning? Like, was there a jealousy thing on his part, or
Nah, never. Which is super cool. It could have totally been there. I'd never even thought about it. He made it so natural. It was cool. But
I suppose when you're getting older as an athlete that day's going to come.
Yeah, I guess so, and especially because he was probably maybe like 36 when I first beat him. I beat him in an 800 the week after he smoked me in a 1500. But the bittersweet part about the 1500 was that he dragged me through to break his own New Zealand record.
Right.
I was like, wow. Thanks, Nick. But he was so stoked, and he was so genuine about it. It was just amazing, So I was just like, oh, this guy's so cool. He's such a cool mentor. And I'd looked up to him for years, but never had the opportunity to actually meet him. And so when he came to New Zealand, I met him, and then I went to Belgium and talked with Steve Willis, his brother, was with us, and so I talked on the phone to Nick, and then Tokyo came around, and a couple more races I think I saw him at. We hung out, chatted, and watched a movie or something. But then Tokyo came around, and I got to spend the most part of a month probably with him. And he got to give me some advice and give me some tricks and tips, and a bunch of stuff. And so it was really cool.
What sort of like tricks and tips? Like what can he?
Oh, here's a stitch up. One, so I mean, I totally should have known this. This was like real amateur on my part. Yeah. But Nick, post race, tells me this one thing, that if you're in a race and someone's on your shoulder and you want to get out of the box, you just put your hand on their hip, because it's not illegal. You're not like pushing them, but you just put put your hand on their hip and just apply a little bit of pressure. And they
like a fiend.
But they just glide outwards. And I tried it, and I'm like, what the heck? This is awesome. But I tried it after the Olympics. And I'm like, Nick, you should have told me this before the Olympics. I'm like, that would have saved my campaign. But I wasn't grumpy. But it was, I was like,
is this like a tip that you will use going forward potentially?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right.
If you need to get out and somebody's, boxing you in, you're like, I got to move, man. Like, I'm ready to go. If you're going to hold me back and you're not moving, or if you're going backwards, I'm going forwards, like, see ya.
Yeah, so because in cycling, there's a peloton situation, and like if you're not pulling your weight and going out front, like the other cyclists will tell you off or yell at you.
Yeah.
Is there talking on the track or no?
Sometimes
you're too gassed to talk.
Nah, sometimes like this last 5 weeks or so, 5 races, 4 races. 4 or 5, whatever. I got pretty vocal at some stage because I was obviously chasing the time, and I'm like, guys, we're here to run. Like, come on, let's work. Let's work together. Like, we're not here to just muck around and like
You're
run.
So annoying.
I know, it totally was, but I don't know. I love all the boys, but sometimes I feel like when the gun goes off, nobody's friends.
They must be like, oh, easy for you, Tanner. We're going as hard as we fucking can.
Yeah, maybe. But yes, I don't know. Some guys just want to win, which is totally fair enough. But I'm like, I don't care about winning sometimes. I just want to run fast.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not a championship. In a championship, everything goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the Olympics. So you went to the Olympics last year in Tokyo.
Yep.
you qualified last year as well. So in a way, I guess the COVID thing for you was a blessing because it gave you more time to qualify.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many blessings that came out of COVID. It was ridiculous. Like I got to come home. What was it? This was like 2020 when COVID kind of hit, I guess.
Yeah.
And then so I came home, did a whole year of pretty much base training, and then I proposed and got engaged. So that was sick. And then so I had this like awesome like family stuff going on, and then awesome training that was just building a massive base that carried me through for a season that was way too long. Like I probably shouldn't have raced that much, but it got me qualified, Then started 2021, ran a couple fast races, qualified for the Olympics, ran the Olympics, ran a couple of collegiate races before then. But yeah, without that, I was, to be honest, 2020 for the Olympics were then, it was a very long shot.
Yeah, in terms of qualifying. Right.
But so I probably wouldn't have gone.
But I suppose like pros and cons, because it was delayed a year, you got to go. But also, it sounds like it was a pretty shitty Olympic experience.
Yeah.
You didn't get the full, I mean, you will in your lifetime, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
totally.
It wasn't like the full Olympic experience.
Nah. But for me, I kind of look at it like I'm fortunate because a lot of athletes, who may have given up, they may be in their late 20s or early 30s and they've just qualified for their first Olympics and maybe that was their only one, and I'm like, oh, that kind of sucks because that may be their only one and that's it. Whereas for me, I'm like, that was my first one. I'm like, and that was awesome. I'm like, I don't know what everybody else is saying. I'm like, I'm at the Olympics. I'm like a puppy. I'm just like, frothing, like I can't contain my excitement. And so a lot of people probably were like, man, Sam, chill out. But, I was stoked. And so now I'm looking forward to what more there could be at the next Olympics.
Right,
so.
a more normal Olympic experience. And it must have been, what happened to you in the Olympics, in the 1,500 metres? How did you get on?
I ran well. Like I was actually proud of the way I felt in the race, but I kind of just wasn't aggressive enough. Essentially, like I should have. I went into the race a little I was not nervous, which is really silly. Like I should have been nervous. I should have put more pressure on myself, to be honest, because I like pressure. And so I kind of got off the line well, but then kind of just found myself up like at the back of the pack or boxed in, and I was like, I couldn't really move. And so I was just like, what do I do? And anyway, I got through the race and ran the last 300 meters really well. Like my last 300 was the same as, the top two or so of my race.
Yep.
So if I was at the front at that time, I would have made it through, like probably comfortably.
Yeah.
But the fact is I wasn't there, and that's what happens if you run your race wrong.
Right.
And so, yeah, I crossed the line and was just like so in awe of where I actually was. I was like, whoa, I'm at the Olympics. And for me, I was not even the slightest bit disappointed because I'm like, you know what? So many people give up their whole life, are unpaid, and, give up everything to make the Olympics. And sometimes they don't even make it. Like they give up money, time, years of like not having a family, and then they don't even make it. And I'm like, man, I can't be grumpy at my performance. I'm like, what a dick if you were. Like, you're like, I'm
at the Olympic fucking Games.
Yeah, I'm at the Olympics. Like, just like, that's awesome. Like, I'm 20.
Yeah. And it must have been, I don't know if you guys could even hang out or whatever, but so your training partner, Hayden, he won a medal in the triathlon.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to see each other and enjoy that moment over there? Or?
Yeah.
No.
Because we crossed over for one day. And so he was there... early August, I think that's roughly what I'm thinking. Roughly the day. Yeah, early August. I think his race was maybe the 31st of July or something. So we crossed over because of the way the village kind of COVID rules were. You're allowed in there for 48 hours after your event. And so we crossed over for 24 hours. We hung out. We got to have a hug and eat dinner together and then pretty much see you later, which was crazy. But we got a photo at the Olympic rings, which was pretty cool. But yeah, it definitely gave me some motivation to run well, but I just didn't quite execute it.
Yeah. Oh no, that must have been crazy though. Like here you are, basically like two more or less kids.
Oh yeah,
from the from Tauranga Bay of Plenty, and you're at the Olympic Games, and one of you wins a fucking medal.
I know, and we're both with the same coach too.
Yeah,
you're like, man, that's a testament to Craig's coaching.
Yeah.
Like yes, we're both like two naturally gifted athletes in terms of genes, but like realistically, he's developed us and given us the confidence and the ability to just send it and just like, that's the definition. I feel like in training, that's what we do. We just like all right, full send, let's go.
Yeah, when I had Hayden on the podcast, he there was a saying that he used maybe a dozen times about something like blowing the doors off. He said it over and over again.
Yeah, he's good at that.
So you said you weren't nervous. What do you mean you weren't nervous? Were you just relaxed before the Olympics?
Yeah, I was so stoked. Like,
do you ever get nervous?
Yeah, I totally get nervous. Yeah. Like some mornings, I'm like,
how do you? What do you mean? How can you definitely get nervous, but you're not nervous at the Olympics?
Oh, I don't know. I was just like, so I think it's a pressure thing. Like, I'm like at the Olympics, I'm like, well, I'm at the Olympics. I'm probably not the worst here, but I'm like probably like realistically, I don't know how good a shape. I mean, I did back my shape. I was like, I'm in good shape. But anyway, I get
what you're saying. So there was no sort of expectation.
No expectation. Okay. And so I was like, this is kind of cool. Let's just see how it is. And on the start line, if you rewind and watch the tape, I'm like the only one on the start line, just like thumbs up, like fully smiling, like hey guys, almost like the Olympics, like almost like waving to people, like I'm at the Olympics, like what the heck am I doing here? And so that was pretty crazy. But so me and then Nick was actually the other one doing the same thing. He actually made the semi-final, which was awesome. But he was also like, hi Darcy, hi Lockie, his kids. And so that was pretty cool. To the two Kiwis were just the ones stoked and happy on the start line, and also two Christian dudes too. So it was pretty sweet to just like, a bit different and stand out a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about the religion thing, because you got married at the beginning of this year.
Yep.
To your partner Melissa.
Yep.
You're both very young, so I wondered if you were religious.
Yeah. We got an awesome church down the road called Curate, led by Joel and Katie Milgate. Awesome pastors, love them, and just super stoked to be a part of that.
Right.
And
what is it, like a Catholic church, Christian church? What is it, Christian? Right.
Yeah. So we're just amazing teaching. We just finished a kind of 7-week series called the Emotionally Healthy Discipleship, which is just like so good. It just provokes some really good discussion around like growth in being a person, really, like not just like Christian attributes or aspects, but like just really cool like ways of living and like ways that we would better represent Jesus and represent who we are as Christians, and I don't know, just be better people, which is cool.
Because I was raised like in a Catholic family, and we went to church every weekend. But maybe it's different now. But it was really boring. We had to go on a Sunday, and we had to wear horrible dress-up, scratchy clothes. There was some old priest that was just mumbling away that had no charisma. You'd have to kneel down on these wooden benches for a few minutes at a time, and your knees would be sore. Is it still like that now, or is the church you go to a fun one where they have bands and?
Yeah, no, they do. I think they pride themselves on it. I would if I was them. But Curate have an amazing worship team, and they actually, I think, released an album, and it was like number 1 on the New Zealand, I don't know if it was a religious whatever category, but in New Zealand Music Awards, and so they won like the best music album for the year or something,
right? Wow.
Which was really cool. And so they just awesome atmosphere. Really laid back, anyone's welcome off the street. They get given a free coffee and stuff and food sometimes, and it's really cool.
Yeah, is it a big part of your life?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Where does it? Were you raised this way? Is this how you were raised? As a
so
your whole family's religious?
Yeah, we didn't go to church like. Oh, we did go to church quite a lot.
Not religiously though.
Not like. It wasn't like there was no Bible bashing or anything as a kid. You're just like. We were definitely given our own opportunity to decide and express whatever we wanted to, kind of thing. And so that was really cool. And then we went to BC Christian School, which was just like really cool. And it like a lot of people think it's so sheltered and whatever, but it actually like it was in some ways, but it just like really good for growth and I don't know, good morals, and taught you, how to be a decent member of society in a lot of ways.
Well, that's the thing. Like if I would say I'm atheist now, but the message in the Bible is basically don't be an asshole, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
So if it brings something into your life that brings value to it, then I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And I've had some, pretty crazy experience. Oh, here's a bit of a story. So once we were playing Nerf. My brother and I were playing Nerf. This is a good story to start. We were playing Nerf Wars, and he's partially blind in one eye, or probably mostly blind in one eye. Incredibly talented, but at skating and stuff too.
How? From birth or?
I think it's just a lazy eye, and it's got 10% vision.
Right.
So anyway, I shot him in the face, and he got pretty mad because he was breaking the rules. And so I shot him in the face, and he's like, "Oh!" And then he got grumpy at me, and we got into a bit of a fight. But then I punched him, and I don't know, probably punched him in the head or something, and and I broke my knuckle real bad, and you probably see it there, but see how my right pinky knuckle was down.
Oh yeah.
It was super broken. Mum's like, haha, natural punishment, and I'm like, oh, thanks, Mum. So she didn't take me to the doctor for a day, and then it was real swollen the next day. She's like, okay, let's go. Anyway, I got it checked, x-rayed. It was broken. So I went to school, and my mates actually prayed for my hand, and they prayed for it first time, second time, nothing happened. Then they prayed for it a third time, fully healed like that. Click of the fingers, from full pain, in a splint buddy strapped to the other finger, to full healing. I'm like, wow, that was crazy. I'm like, and for me that was wow, that's pretty cool. That that's definitely something you don't see every day. And so I was like, whoa, you're speechless. You're just oh, thanks guys, I guess. You walk away, you're like, shot legends, that's...
Can you get the same crew to pray for a gold medal?
I know, totally. So I'm like, guys, you want to come over and...
Jesus will be like, sorry, man, I don't work on favours like that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a genie. Which is totally true, but,
Yeah, so how did you meet your wife? Did you meet her through church? At school?
I've got full of story. You've been hitting all the story buttons today. We actually went to kindergarten together. And then, so we went to the same kindy, and then...
So you knew each other do you remember each other at kindy?
Not really, don't really remember.
Just through photos or through stories from your parents?
Parents knew each other kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they're at the same time or whatever. But then we went to BC together.
So that's Bethlehem College.
Yeah. Sorry. And then, met there, hung out for a couple of years, started dating at the end of high school. And then I went to university in Washington, and then... on the athletic scholarship, and we did long distance for a couple of years, and then came back.
Was that hard?
Yeah, it sucked, but it was really good. It was good for us in a lot of ways. One, maturity. It allowed us to have a lot of time for individual growth, which was so important because you could be one of those cheesy little teenage couples where you're just they're kind of cute but awkward, kind of cringe. But we never wanted to be that. We wanted to just be adults and be as mature as possible. And so it was really good for our growth because we got to do our independent thing, but not have to worry about the whole drama of dating and whatnot. And so that was really great. And she's the coolest girl ever. She's a teacher at Bethlehem College now.
Oh, amazing. Full circle.
So she didn't actually think she was going to ever go back there. Not because she didn't love it, but just because she wanted to work in a public school. And so the opportunity came up, and she just loved it. And so she's like, "Oh, this is cool." And so that's where she's at the moment.
So how old were you when you started seeing each other? What was it, 13, 14?
No, 17.
17. Oh, okay. Because I had Joseph Parker on the podcast. He had a similar thing. He met his now wife and baby mama at school when they were 13, 14, and they've sort of been together ever since. You're a little bit older. Awesome. But were you in the similar classes, going through the years at Bethlehem College?
Yeah.
And were you thinking through those years, 13 to 16, oh, she's a bit of all right?
Yeah, she was always fun, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of fun. This could be kind of cool. And then
how come nothing ever happened in those early years, the school dances and things like that?
Other girls. No, just kidding. No. I don't know. We just kind of. Yeah, I suppose I was very much focused on having fun and doing my own thing. And I'm a boy's boy, but not necessarily in the sense that I'd go to parties and stuff. I'd rather have a bunch of boys that would come surfing with me at 7 a.m., like just like get up early and not stay up late. And so that actually has really helped my running because I've been able to just focus onto, the morning. A little puppy out there.
Oh, should we let him in?
Yeah, go on.
Listen, I suppose.
Yeah,
I mean, the things that you've done and continue to do with your life and your body. I mean, you can't have the party lifestyle in that as well, can you?
No,
Someone's
totally
got to give.
not. Yeah, and so
you're not getting on the piss and then running sub 4 minute miles the next day.
No. I mean, that would be a pretty good challenge, but I'm not going to do that.
Actually, one day you should try like the Chunder Mile or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah,
the beer mile. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez, you'd smoke it.
Yeah, or I don't know. I'm not like the biggest drinker, so I don't think I would be. I'd run the really fast laps, but then I'd be like, because you get the bonus lap if you vomit, right?
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so
I'm not
it's
sure
like
of the exact rules, but
it's like a
you
punishment.
do a lap and then you drink a beer. Then
Yeah. 4 beers, 4 laps, and then a punishment if you vomit. So I'm like, I think I'd just take the punishment and just blast out 5 laps instead of doing 4.
Okay, so who asked who out initially?
No, I did.
Yeah,
we went.
Was it a school ball or just a regular date?
No, it was a regular date.
Yep.
We went kayak fishing, and she caught her first snapper, and so that was pretty sweet. And that was pretty cool. But yes, that was, I guess, the essence of date number 1, if you could call it that. It's more an adventure. A lot of you know what is, I shouldn't be exposing myself like this. But what is real shocking is I think our first dinner date was she took me out for my birthday and she paid for it, and I'm like, I did offer to pay, but she's like, no, it's your birthday. I was like, okay, fine. But that was like we didn't do dinner, like official dinner dates very often, because we're like, we just went on adventures. Like we did heaps of hiking, heaps of surfing, some mountain biking and stuff, and it was cute skate dates and pump tracks and stuff. But yeah, we weren't one of those couples who'd spend a lot of money, probably because we didn't have much money, to be honest.
Yeah. And you don't need to.
No. It was so much fun. Like it was just the best way to do it.
Well, and when did you realize? When did you realize that she was going to be the one?
I don't know. That's kind of probably pretty early on. I was like, this chick's super cool. Like I'm just like, I just don't want to lose her. Like she's, that's awesome. A girl that's just like compliments me in so many different ways. And so I'm like, this is easy. It's easy doing life with her. And yeah, we complement each other pretty well. I hope she agrees, but
well, she said yes. So
she did say yes.
Unless she's just a people pleaser and isn't good at saying no.
Oh, that is true too. But she did say yes, so that's encouraging.
And this may be a bit of a personal question. You may choose not to answer that, and that's fine. But because of your religious beliefs, did you save yourselves for marriage?
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Shit, was that hard?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was.
So what do you do? Are you allowed to do it? You're allowed to kiss? You're allowed to. What are you allowed to?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose
it's up to the individual.
Wherever you, I don't know, draw your own line. People draw their lines in different places. I don't know where we had a little peck, but
it's hard though. A peck is a gateway.
Oh, it is a gateway. No, it was
like, right, I've got to go to Washington. We need that separation.
Yeah. That helped heaps. That was great. But.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, so let's talk about the Washington experience. So, I don't know. I may have heard this in an interview or read it somewhere, and I don't know if this is inappropriate or not, but I heard you put on quite a bit of weight over there.
Yeah. How did you know that?
I don't know. I thought I heard it somewhere or read it somewhere, or maybe someone told me, but I can't. But you're over there on a sporting scholarship, so you're there getting fit, and you're there running, and they're pushing yourself. So how do you get fat?
I don't know, Dom. It was a combination of like gluttony,
American food, everything's deep fried.
I was a sucker. I suppose I just ate lots. Like I to be honest, I think the root of it was probably me doing less activity, more running, but less activity. You know, like when I'm here.
Oh, I got you. So you talk about all the dates you were having with your girlfriend.
Yeah,
like you go kayaking or mountain biking.
Yeah, walk up the mount kind of thing. You know, like that's like hours of exercise in the day that you're just burning heaps of calories.
Sure.
You don't even realize it. Which I think, like, looking at it now, like, with a combination between that and Craig's like training, like saying, yep, cross training is good. Like all that sort of stuff was helping me stay skinny, stay strong in a bunch of ways too, not like usable strength, like agility, whatever else. And so that was like a really good plus. But as soon as I got to the States, I was sitting behind a computer studying and put on the freshman, not just the 15, but the freshman 20 pounds. And so I was like,
what's that in kilos? You're like half it.
It's like 8 or 9 kilos.
Shit, that's a lot of extra weight to be carrying around a track.
Oh yeah,
whereabouts? Like I'm looking at you now. You're a lean dude. where did you put it on? Was it evenly spread?
Yeah,
or?
It was pretty evenly spread. Like I was still skinny, right? But Melissa, two comments that have kind of stuck with me. Melissa said I looked swollen. And my dad said I had a fat neck, and I'm like, thanks, Dad. Like, what a legend. Like, so that was it's totally not true, right? Like, I was still like lean, but
still running at incredible times.
Yeah, still running fast, but I did have my worst result ever. I came 232nd at NCAA Nationals, which, to be honest, field is deep, very deep, hard to get there, but that's still pretty shocking. Like, I suppose somebody has to come that far back.
Yeah. But did you enjoy the American college experience? Like, was it even though you put on weight and you've lost the weight now, was it good for you in terms of like sharpening the pencil as an athlete?
Yeah, totally. It gave me heaps of experience. I was learning heaps, like both academically and like athletically. The professionalism in terms of like, strategics and like recovery, everything like that. Really good experience. I loved the team. Coach was awesome. Really different because in the US, obviously they've thrown heaps of money at you. There's just like gear coming out your ears. You've got the whole college system, like American football.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Like Friday Night Lights and stuff like that.
They have like this thing called tailgating, but at UW it's called sailgating because they get because there's a lake there, and so they get all their rich guys in their fancy boats get on the piss before the American football games, and you go to the football games, everyone's drunk and there's like actual cheerleaders. I'm like, I thought they were just in the movies, but no, it was cool. It was a cool experience.
What a great experience. Did you end up talking in a bit of an accent? Did you end up picking? No, you didn't have to adjust to be understood?
No, but I did say a couple of things differently. Like, I'd say we'd go to the store instead of the supermarket, or the parking lot instead of the car park.
Right.
I still said it in a Kiwi accent, but it was just like things like that. But I did have a couple of my mates like start to say things with a Kiwi accent. I'm like, oh, that's good. Shows my level of influence. I'm like, suckers, you're speaking my language in your own country.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because you can become quite self-conscious of your accent, when you're overseas. Like it stands out like dog balls.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but we had a couple of different internationals on the team too. So it was, a couple of Aussie girls. We had a Brit bloke who was there for a while, and that was cool. So in terms of like learning and knowing people and getting to know a bunch of different people, and making connections around the world, it was super cool. Yeah. Super cool.
And you said before they throw money at you and everything. Like, what do you mean exactly? So they pay for your flights over there, pay for the education.
Yep.
Do you get like an allowance or per diems or anything?
Yeah, we get per diem when we travel. Usually probably a couple $100, and if you're like any way smart about it, you could probably bank $100 each time, which is sweet. I'm like, that's 160 in New Zealand dollars,
Depending on the exchange rate.
I'm like, that's great. And so that was always fun. Do you know what is funny? They gave me a stipend and
what's a stipend?
Like a monthly allowance kind of thing to pay for your room, board, food. That's not through the dining halls. So they had athlete dining, which was cool. But check this out. I was nifty, and I bought with the money that I saved over having cheap housing. I bought what was it, two motorbikes. And so I bought 2 motorbikes while I was over there with the excess money. I was like, those are like free motorbikes. That's awesome. So I had a CBR 1000 RR for the motorbike people listening, which is a very fast bike. And then I traded it for a Ducati. And then in New Zealand, I bought a SV1000, that blue one in the shed I showed you.
You're definitely not living your life in cotton wool, are you?
No, that's not fun.
No, it's really good. I had a friend that played for the All Blacks like about 20 years ago, and I'm guessing it's probably still the same now, but he wasn't allowed to go skiing or snowboarding or anything in winter.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of, like, the US coach didn't want me to go snowboarding or skating. Like, I was, like, boosting around, like, probably, like a nutter. There's not many guys, like, sending it through campus on their skateboards. But I was, like, boosting through campus, and he's like, okay, a week before Nationals, I want you to give me the skateboard. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's probably fair enough.
But I suppose if you've done enough hours on the skateboard, you're good at bailing.
Yeah.
So there is still risk, but it's sort of managed risk.
Yeah, and you're just going to graze. Like I don't, like, I never try new tricks, which kind of is annoying because I'm like, I would like to be as good as my brother, but he's incredible, and I can't do that. You know, like, I'm not good enough to do that. And I can't afford to do that, you know, because essentially, you know, I got a sponsorship by Puma now, and if I don't perform, then, you know, that's on the line. And so don't hurt yourself, do what you know, and you're usually good. But
how is this, you don't need a job. You can just train and do your events. Is it an okay living? I saw on your Instagram a couple of weeks ago, there's like a local law firm here in Bay of Plenty that's helping you out. So you got Puma. Yeah. They just give you gear and a little bit of cash.
Yeah, gear and some. They give me a salary. Yeah. So it's
enough.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's not like as much as I'd be probably making in the US, because there's just, you know, a lot more profile over there. You can you know, get a lot more recognition and everything like that. So yeah, a little bit less than probably what I'd be making overseas. But it's enough to live on, especially with the help of, you know, the lawyers over in Tauranga there, which has been great. And
actually give them a plug, because I saw that on your Instagram. I thought that's a really cool thing for a local firm to be doing.
Yeah, awesome. And so the story with that is Thomas Refoy Butler is kind of, I suppose I know him mutually, but he reached out over Instagram one day and messaged me and said, "Hey Sam, love to catch up for coffee." And I was like, "Sweet, okay, like, cool, like." Don't really know you, but it's sweet. And but anyway, we got chatting. He's a really awesome dude, and we get along well. And have, you know, quite a few hobbies in common. He just went. I saw him going mountain biking the other day, actually. Sorry, Thomas, exposing your life a little. But you know, that and fishing and running as well. He's a runner. So he kind of, we had a chat, and then he talked to his partners at the law firm, and then pulled together some cash, and then that plus some. Any law advice I need, or like looking over contracts and stuff, which is so helpful. Like that stuff's so expensive to get done, and so I'm just so thankful to be a part of their team and to have them, you know, on my team. And so it's cool. And I've met some of the partners. We went to the movies the other day, which was kind of cool, and got to meet a few more of them and chat. And but yeah, they've been great. They're super supportive, and have kind of ready to express their interest to back me for the next few years too, which is cool.
That's so good. That's how it should be. I mean, it's an unlucky sport, isn't it? Because the money's not great. Like, if you know, Stephen Adams, for example, on a $20 million a year or whatever for playing basketball, and you're, in terms of what you're doing in your sport, you're probably as good as what he is. But there's just no money in the running.
No, that is true. Yeah, like, or even like, you know, golf. You know, like imagine being Lydia Ko.
Yeah, how good.
I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be great. But you know, like, I'm heavily relying on like bonuses and winnings and cash from winning races, you know, which still isn't that much, you know. Stephen Adams, you know, gets MVP, probably gets a bonus, you know, like
sure.
Matt probably a $2 million bonus, you know, like I get a bonus and, you know, might get a couple grand, you know, which is like still great, but you know,
it's not a couple of mil, is it?
No, it's not a couple of million. So whatever. But I do it. I don't do it for the money. I do it for the love of it. You know, like if I did it for the money, I would probably have never done this sport.
Yeah, you do something else. Wow, it's been a great chat. Shit, you're full of energy, aren't you?
Oh,
you're like a fizzed up can of Coke.
Yeah. Oh, I did have a coffee, not today, but like before one of my races, and I'm like, holy, I should not be allowed coffee.
Really? Was it helpful or?
I was just
Or jittery?
I was just pinging. Like my heart was going crazy. I was like bouncing. Like my legs, I couldn't get my legs still. And so that was pretty scary.
And how's something I like to ask everyone on this podcast? How's your mental health? How's it been? How is it currently? How are you? You good?
I'm good. I have a lot of people around me who are pretty good at checking in. You know, I've got a couple running mates, Ollie Chignall being one of them, who's really good at kind of creating awareness around like men's mental health especially, and so I think it's been pretty cool to have guys like him just check in every now and then. Like, not that I've ever had any problems, but you know, it's good to like actually have someone to talk to, and so that was been pretty cool. And I'm part of a small group, little Bible study thing that we did this morning too, and so that's always helpful having a couple other guys around me that have just care and you can be vulnerable with, and that plus the family and my wife and
it's good. Do you think I was going to ask? Do you think your faith helps?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Like I think one of my biggest things is that I don't find myself like holding my identity in running. Like I'm like, if I lost running, and I think that's probably why I do so many crazy other stuff, because I'm like, if running gets taken away from me, I'm still Sam. Like I'm not just Sam the runner. Like I am Sam who runs, but I it would be sad, obviously, because it's like the thing I love to do. But if it got taken away from me, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of dumb. But like my identity's not in that, like it's in my faith, it's in everything else that I am, rather than just running.
Shit, that's such a mature way of looking at it. It really is, eh?
Yeah, well,
it really is, especially when you're as good as what you are, and no doubt there's people kissing your ass a fair bit while you're running.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty funny, but it's good. I think I've had some, some pretty wise people pressing into me and like giving me encouragement and supporting me. Even with Nick, like it's been good to have those sorts of conversations with him, and I think sometimes you can fast track some areas of maturity. Like there's obviously areas where I'm like, make a fart joke, that's going to always be funny. Like
it's never not funny.
It's never not funny, like, well, so you can fast track some bits like that in your life when you've got some pretty good, strong people around you.
Have you ever had any injuries or anything that sort of got you down in the dumps?
Oh, well, after Tokyo, I'm so glad they removed isolation. But after Tokyo, we flew to Christchurch, did isolation quarantine there, and I did 2 weeks I wasn't allowed to run. This is a bit of breaking the rules, but I tried to run once. There was nobody around, not even any security guards, and I did like 2 strides.
Right.
Like I did, like it was like 50 meters, and I'm like, I could do that with my breath held. I didn't even have to breathe, and they were like, they caught me on camera. And I'm like, they got me on camera. I'm like, then the security guard, like an army dude, like he was fully decked out in his army gear. I'm like, oh crap, what have I done? Like, where am I going? I'm going to go into solitary confinement or something. I'm like, but anyway, whatever. Just, he told me off. He said, you're not actually allowed to run. I'm like, half these people are puffing more than I run when they're walking.
That's absurd.
But anyway, got out of
so you just had to do that one MIQ stint?
Yeah,
you're lucky.
Which was great. Yeah. But got out of there, and my Achilles was giving me massive grief for like a month, maybe 2 months, and I just couldn't run more than like a K without it just like getting aggravated, and then just going, nah, can't run today. And I'm like, oh. And so that was pretty dumb. Like it was real dumb. But yeah, I kind of dealt with it fine because I wasn't like, I was doing other things. I was like, yeah, no, I can't run, but I can still bike. I can still go surfing, kind of, and so I went fishing heaps, and that was good. I don't think we're in lockdown then. Yeah, just out of lockdown. So we went fishing, and that was really good. So I got to, have another outlet, and I actually
sure.
That's
but when you worried though, like weren't you worried about losing pace? Like I'd be worried about losing fit. I
totally was.
I'm not a patch on you. I'm just like a weekend warrior, but I'd be like, shit, I'm going to be.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I was like, Craig had me biking heaps while I was in MIQ, so I came out real fit too. And I was like, oh no, all that fitness is gone. And so I was like, yeah, definitely. But, yeah, I suppose I was. Yeah, I was just worried about being like, But then,
or are you at the point now where you know that if you have a break, you can retrain and get it back?
Oh,
again?
totally.
You have that confidence.
Yeah, totally. I think once your body does it once, you're like, oh, I can do that again.
Yeah.
334 the second time was definitely not as hard as the first time.
Right.
I probably ran 334 the first time before Tokyo, the most perfect way possible. Negative split slightly every lap, and then closed hard. Had someone to chase the whole way. Didn't really have any, interruptions in the race. And then this time we were, our splits were a little more uneven, and, I closed hard, and it was still great.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't have to really worry about it, but. Yeah, I think the second time you do it, it's definitely easier.
Yeah. It's funny that I'm just thinking about your MIQ experience. I had a similar thing. So I went overseas last year and I had MIQ on the way back, and it was supposed to be 7 days, but then it was extended to 10 because someone on the plane tested positive. And there was someone, this was at Christmas time, so it was on Christmas Eve. Someone I was in the car park area where you got allowed to exercise. Someone from one of the upper floors yelled out, "Merry Christmas," and dropped a Christmas cracker down. And I went to pick it up. Then an army guy with a whistle blew his whistle. And they
Holy!
It was like, come on. There won't be COVID on the Christmas cracker.
I know.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous. I'm like, surely if you're one of those guys, you'd just let it. I mean, I would definitely let it slide.
Yeah.
But that's probably why they wouldn't hire me as a security guard or.
Yeah.
I'm like, stick to running.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I've got I think it's one of those ones like you're lucky in a way that you got to do it, because you'll look back and it's a crazy experience. It's a surreal thing to go through.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it? Did you?
I didn't mind it.
Did you hate it? Or where were you? Did you have good food?
I was Crown Plaza in Auckland. So
okay.
It was. I had a big enough room, so I'd walk for an hour each day, just doing lengths of the hotel room, and then have half an hour in the car park every now and then.
Yeah.
In hindsight, if I knew it was going to be 10 days and not 7, I probably would have got a stationary bike or something.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I just did some sit-ups and press-ups and.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Watched a lot of Netflix.
Did you do any stupid challenges? Any Netflix is great, eh?
Stupid challenges like what? What do you mean?
For me,
try and run in the exercise yard? Hell no.
No, I didn't do that. Any dumb exercise challenges, you did 1,000 sit-ups in a day, or 1,000 push-ups in a day.
No, I didn't know that was a thing. I wish I did though.
Oh, I made it a thing.
Did you?
I did it. I did 1,000 push-ups in a day. Don't do it. Don't recommend.
So how did you break it up? 20 every
5 minutes.
20 every 5 minutes.
I did
I'm terrible at maths. How many hours?
I don't know. It wasn't just 25 hours. I was I busted it out and did 50, 100, 50, whatever else for the first couple. And then I was a couple hundred ahead, and I was like, oh, sweet, I can chill. And then it got hard, and I was like, oh, no. And so I just did 20 for the rest of the day. But the day before, I did a really bad mistake and did I did them in sets of 80. And I'm like, because I did build up to this. This was the last few days of my MIQ. And I don't recommend doing that. But it was good. Good challenge.
Yeah.
Good entertainment. I was like, all right, 5 minutes, had the timer on, stop the Netflix. Go sit down, bust it up 20, get back.
Got to do something to kill the time, eh? What was the food like at yours?
It was really good. It was cold though, so I invented the. This is my invention. I'm trademarking it or copywriting it, whatever.
In case there's another pandemic.
In case there's another pandemic. The cardboard box hairdryer air fryer. and so they sent me a couple of pastries, and it was dead cold in this little McDonald's box. And I cut a hole in the side and stuck the hairdryer in there and heated it up, and it fried it perfectly. And I'm like, this is genius. What the heck? Why has nobody ever told me this? Yeah. It was either that or the iron, and I tried. Oh, that was pretty scody. I tried an iron once, and I was like, I don't like the taste of that.
You could probably do that with toast, eh?
Oh,
maybe it'll work with toast or a panini.
Yeah, toast it with the iron. Press it.
There was a little game that I ended up playing at my hotel, and you meet some other people in the exercise yard and you discuss with them, and it became a thing in the Crown Plaza. So you'd get a knock at the door, like 3 times a day with your meals.
Yep.
And by the time you get to the door, which is like, 2-3 seconds, nobody in sight.
I know, they're gone.
Oh, was it the same with yours?
Yeah.
So I got to the point by like day 4 or 5, like I worked out sort of the time window where it was. So I'd try and be there looking through the peephole. Then I could be like, aha!
Like, gotcha! Surprise, boy!
Coughing my COVID all over you.
I stuck my head out to pick up my. This was the extreme. I was like, okay, you guys are taking this a little far. I stuck my head out without a mask on to pick up my food from the door. I stuck my head out with no mask on for like literally 3 seconds, and my mate stuck his head out at the same time. He had a mask on. He was about 4 doors down. I was like, hey bro, how's isolation going? He's like, yeah, good. I was like, sweet, see you later. Like, that was literally the end of our conversation. I got a call from over the phone and said, hey, just to let you know, you have to, it's mandatory to keep your mask on when you out
of your room.
And I'm like, what? And she's like, the lady's like, yeah, if you don't, you can get your outside time revoked. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, put a mask on next time you grab your food. I was like, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, it's
Bye-bye.
crazy.
And I was like, oh, that was just ridiculous, but whatever.
That's crazy, because I was, so your MIQ was after the Olympics. Mine was a little bit later, so mine was December last year. So I'd been in the UK, I'd been in Hungary, I'd been in Iceland, and everyone was just cracking on with life.
What were you doing there?
I managed to get an MIQ spot, so I just went over for a holiday.
Oh, sweet. You're one of those guys. Everybody hates you, eh?
I was over there for a week, and I was like, do I post anything on Instagram or do I not? But I was like, fuck it, I may as well.
I mean,
so then, we were going out to restaurants and just living life normal, and then you come back and it's like, don't leave your room without a mask on.
I know.
Don't run.
Oh, yeah. And then everybody's wearing their masks in supermarkets. You're like, I mean, I don't know how much use they're doing now. You know, you touched your face before you got in here, then touched the apple that I just grabbed. Whatever.
Okay, so this is probably a good point to wrap it up. So you got the Worlds and then the Commonwealth Games. Who's going over to support you at the Worlds or the Commonwealth Games? Is your wife going over?
Yeah.
She is? Amazing.
Mum, Dad, and Melissa are going over to Com Games, and so they'll be over there end of July, start of August till about the 10th. Which would be cool because I raced on the 4th and the 6th of August for the Com Games.
Is 4th, are they different events or is the 4th like a heat?
Heat final.
Okay.
Heat and then final.
So the heat's on the 4th and you need to finish like in the top 3? Or is it a time thing?
It depends how many heats there are. It'll probably be top 3. Probably it'll be most likely top 3 and then the next fastest 3 based off times.
Right.
But yeah, that'll be it.
And do you get to stay with Melissa over there, or are you in like a games village?
Yeah, I'll be in the games village.
Right.
So I'm not too sure. I'll probably wing it from when I get over there and just play it by ear. But
God, you're super chill. You're super relaxed.
Yeah, I
love
try
it.
to be. Like, I'm live by the beach, Dom. That's what happens.
Shaka bra.
Turn into a hippie and start playing the guitar while surfing. No, I'll just wait and see what happens and see what my freedom's like over there. Because I mean, at Tokyo, you couldn't leave. You know, like they like locked you in. Like, I mean, you couldn't leave.
Yeah, and to be fair, they did it so damn well. Like it would have been terrible if there was some sort of outbreak. I'm surprised they let you run without a mask on.
I know, yeah. Mind you, we did take our masks off like 30 seconds before we came into the track. So I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing that they needed was they wanted. Obviously, there was so much money invested. They wanted the Olympics to go ahead, but they couldn't have like a super spreader event or anything like that. And credit to them, they did it so fucking well.
Oh, they did, and we tested like every day, and I tested I think 3 times before I entered Japan, and so it was pretty hectic, but it was necessary, and I know one person who had COVID, and so that was pretty tough for her. She couldn't experience the whole village thing like the rest of us.
Was that one of the competitors?
Yeah, in the New Zealand team.
Oh God!
And so she was like in isolation in the village, and she couldn't go to the dining hall until after her quarantine was done. So I think she had a couple days or something. But yeah, because not even she didn't even have COVID. It was one of the people on her plane over.
Oh, so she was like a close contact.
Yeah, so she's a close contact.
Oh, infuriating.
And so she's like, I don't even have COVID. This is so dumb. So she was still allowed to race, but so she was testing negative the whole time. And, it's nuts.
And what does the future look like for you? Are you much of like a goal setter, or are you just going to keep going and hopefully keep getting faster?
Yeah,
be the next Nick Willis, still be doing this when you're 50?
Yeah, not 50. Please, no.
Yeah, it can't get any, like, credit to what Nick Willis has done. Like, it can't get any easier, like the training and...
Oh, no.
You know,
probably gets harder, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's I don't know. What's it like running when you're... what are you, 46? 40?
49.
49.
49. I've got a bad knee. I was going to ask you. I've got a... Thank you. I've got a bad knee at the moment, and I've just been going to physio with the ACC discount. What would Sam Tanner be doing with a knee injury? Where would you be going? Who's the specialist?
Oh, Leanna.
Leanna?
Back in action physio, Leanna in Greaton. Best physio around. She will bust her balls to find the problem and the cause of the problem. And so she's been great. Like, I've had a couple niggles, but then they just disappear, because she's just like, all right, you need to straighten this up. Your hip's a little low, or, like just very, very fine-tuning, but like very necessary to be either preventing injury or being more efficient while running.
Right. That's not the answer I was expecting. I was thinking there's like some cryogenic chamber that you go to in Amsterdam.
No.
Really? Just a physio in Greaton.
Just a physio in Greaton. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, how's your body been? Mostly good?
Yep.
Not too many injury concerns? No,
mostly good. Other than the Achilles last year, but yeah, been pretty lucky. I try to stay on top of things. Like, every now and then there'll be like a little thing that'll pop up, but yeah, I'm being pretty healthy and had a cold or something, but other than that, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Oh, you're an absolute beast. And it's been an honour to have you on the podcast today.
Good talking to you.
The best of luck at the Com Games. Thanks for being so open and honest and sharing.
No worries. Cheers, Dom.
Shaka bra.
Shaka bra.
All right, let's go and hit those waves.
All right, we're going surfing or fishing.